It's party time!
Viva Pinata, filled with fun.
Filled with fun!
Don't enjoy them all. Viva Pinata, filled with fun.
Filled with fun!
Viva Pinata, don't be enjoy.
Carl and Damon here from Brrraains A Head-Banging Life, gbhblofficial for short, and it's They Made What Into a TV series. We did our introduction last time. It is the Viva Pin TV show, and we're up to episode 2 with the 2 segments: Queen for a Day and a Chewnicorn in the Garden. Also aired the same day as episode 1, August 26, 2006. So I guess they just put a load of them out at the same time to get people in, because as we said in episode 1, these aren't long. These videos we're going to be doing, recapping and talking about it, aren't going to be too long. Similar to Donkey Kong Country, we are talking about 20-minute episode overall, 2 segments, with not a lot going on in them really. It's just a bit of silliness, a little bit of wackiness, computer-generated CG graphics, animation, and we enjoyed the first 2 segments of episode 1. We enjoyed episode 1, and I'm cool with episode number 2 as well. Yeah, we'll start with Queen for a Day then, yeah? The rest of Pinatas are watching Franklin Fizzly Bear go around drinking honey and trying to find a way to make his own constant source of honey. Paulie Prestail tries to remind her that keeping buzzle gums can be a real pain, but Franklin isn't listening. So here I think you'll quickly now establish, if you didn't in the first episode, that the series as a whole is always going to be randomised.
Yes.
Similar to Donkey Kong Country, whereas we could get something significant occur in it, but it wouldn't matter the next episode.
Yeah,
They're all completely standalone.
Yeah, standalone stories, yeah.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that. It would have been nice to kind of get sort of a concurrent thing, but we've got other shows for that, I suppose.
Yeah.
And this particular series we do is purposely designed around these kind of shows, where it's really short episodes and our videos aren't too long. We're just kind of talking them through that way.
And who knows, further down the line, you might get a 2-part episode, you never know. So,
Yeah, we don't know. That's the thing. We don't know, because we are watching these as we go through them. So sometime after, he's planting seeds and sits down to relax, watches buttercups grow. Buttercups will attract buzzle gums. Now, it's been such a long time since I played the game, but I was wondering, I wonder how accurate this is. And I wonder if it actually is the case.
Very accurate, man.
And I thought that was cool, man. Like, if that was the case. All right, that's awesome to know. There's a meta joke here as well, where he looks directly at the camera. I was down for that. I was down for that. Because they all grow really fast, and he's like, well, isn't that really lucky? You know, looks at the camera like, because he knows he hasn't got much time in the episode. Buzzlegums arrive and build a hive instantly. Franklin has his honey and speaks into the hive, offering to show his appreciation to the Buzzlegums. We then see him improving their home, much to their happiness. They're so happy that they provide him with more honey with extra nectar inside. So apparently that's tastier. Franklin continues to grow more and more buttercups as the other pinatas come along. His plan is to get more buzzlegum hives, which Paulie warns him against. We then see a massive amount of buzzlegums hearing about Franklin's mass of buttercups. They all decide to go to his place. I did like that scene. A couple head off and they're like, hey boys, this place is awesome. You should come check it out. Although I do think they could have done this episode in a little bit more fun way. But maybe I'll mention that at the end. The next day, Franklin exits his home to find his covered with hives. There's absolutely loads of them now. And initially, while he's happy about it and he gorges himself on honey before having fun with the buzzlegums, however, he starts to realise almost immediately, it's a bit of a switch, that it's just too much. Especially when the others visit and find his home a mess. He's kind of like, all right, maybe I've gone a bit overboard here. He decides to split up with the buzzlegums, but before he can finish his speech, they make him their queen. Yeah, give him a crown as well. Yeah. Oh God, you should say this uses "God Save the Queen" or "God Save the King," the British national anthem.
I thought it was quite funny.
I thought it was weird. Yeah. Franklin goes back inside and complains to the others, and Paulie suggests he find the previous queen. And he's able to find the previous queen by finding that the crown has her address on it because it's actually hers. I like little touches like that. That's where you're acknowledging the sort of silliness of the whole experience more than anything else. Franklin is not welcome when he arrives as she accuses him of stealing all her buzzlegums. Franklin suggests she treated him poorly, and that is why they came to him. So he starts to show her how to be nice. And we kind of get a short montage of her doing nice things. Would have been funnier if it had a bit more out there and been a bit longer.
Yeah.
But she seems to know what she has to do, and we cut to all the buzzlegums having returned and the Queen promising to be better. She then calls Franklin their ambassador before they kick off their festival, Buzz-a-Palooza. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good episode.
It's fun. It's
Yeah,
fun.
it's fun, yeah, so-
It's silly. It's funny. I was amused by a lot of the sort of stuff. What I wanted them to do, though, and maybe they didn't have time, is I wanted the issue to be that the Buzzlegums become quite obnoxious and difficult to live around. Maybe they're noisy. Maybe they're playing music loud at night.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. Instead, it sort of just goes, Franklin's like, oh, I've eaten too much honey.
Yeah.
Like you know, sometimes you might eat too much food yourself and think, God,
I'm sick of that food.
yeah, like, I'm sick of it. But the next day you're going to be hungry again. Of course you might. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I would have liked. Maybe they didn't have enough time for that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe they're worried about making any of the characters look like bad guys or like troublesome people and so on. But there's lots of little touches here. Like I said, a dress being on the crown.
Yep.
I thought was funny. The bees going to visit the others and like them as like a group, but like creating images with their group. They're like pointing with their like as a group of bees, like as a hand.
Yeah, just obviously national anthem being played was a bit strange.
Was weird.
I wonder was that because it was aired in the UK, or do you think they changed it?
No, because it would have been Canada. I suspect because obviously, you know, the Queen is an important figure still in Canada. Royalty, the British royal family is still an important thing in Canada with principalities and stuff like that. I don't know the makeup of it, but I know that is a case. So it's probably related to that. Or maybe it's just a recognisable, for them, they thought this is a really recognisable Queen kind of tune.
True,
Do you know what I mean? I suppose because it's specifically related. It's a national anthem that's specifically related to the Queen, isn't it?
Yeah.
Whereas you don't necessarily have that in other countries where the national anthem either doesn't have, you know what I mean, isn't automatically associated with royalty.
Not many queens, is there? Yeah, that's
Yeah, maybe.
I like the Queen, but you're offering them free dental and
to try and make their lives a
days
bit
off
better. Yeah, it's funny. It's stuff like that. Yeah, treat your employees better. Hint, hint, folks.
Yep.
And you will get much more out of them. That is segment 1, Queen for a Day. Right, segment 2 is a Chewnicorn in the garden. So we've been on a bit hard. I would argue that this one is probably the first example where I think of things are a little bit flatter. It's just all right.
Yeah.
Fergie and Paulie are at the beach discussing the existence of Chewnicorns, and Fergie believes in them, but Paulie doesn't. They're then interrupted by a wave that Franklin is riding. Now, I've got some serious Donkey Kong flashbacks when that happened. Seriously did.
Yeah.
But Franklin reveals that he also believes in Chewnicorns. Annoyed, Fergie berates them before a coconut falls on their head, and he agrees to believe in them should, like most things, prove it. Should I see one? I'll believe in one. Mm-hmm. Franklin then reads the instructions to meet one, and it is quite extreme. It's one of those quest-style things, which I guess is a junky hint to things in the game. Well, there's nothing like this in the game. Some of the requirements to get a pinata to finish a garden were quite extreme.
Yeah, indeed.
But Fergie notes that actually we can just plant a gem tree to attract one. And that's the plan. Yeah. They're able to buy one from the gem tree store and plant it. Paulie adds some plant food and it grows up instantly. Doesn't work like that in the game.
Nope.
The plan is to wait all night now with Fergie taking the first watch. But the next morning, Fergie is woken by the others and discovered that the tree is now bare of gems with no Chewnicorn having been seen. Paulie insists that tonight they will all stay up and see if one exists. So there's a lot of this sort of silliness.
Yeah.
After buying another tree, they're set about waiting throughout the night, but all inevitably start to fall asleep. However, resulting noise in the tree wakes Franklin, who goes to check but finds Fergie eating the gems. Fergie reveals that he was also to blame for the gems being eaten the night before too. They both fall out of the tree as Fergie begs Franklin not to tell Paulie. And you get this thing where Franklin is really against lying as they finally land, because all of this is being discussed while they're falling from the tree. And when they land, they obviously wake up Paulie. Paulie demands to know if a Chewnicorn was seen, and Franklin goes around the houses to try and avoid lying about it. I guess there's a lesson here about lying in kids and stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely.
Very similar to sometimes what Donkey Kong would do.
Yeah.
I'm fine with it. I don't really have a problem with it.
No.
Again, I like the amusement of them falling from the tree for ages, having this discussion.
Yeah.
And that Franklin, rather than lie outright, goes around the houses to try and avoid actually saying a lie. Yeah. So it's time to get another tree, and there is, like, again, comedic edge, and I'm having to keep going back and getting another tree and getting madder about it. But once again, everyone falls asleep. But this time, Fergie wakes up and heads off to eat more gems again. Franklin was waiting for this, though. He was prepared and stops him as Fergie then gets a bit obsessive with the thought of eating the gems. He's addicted, basically. It's a little bit like that.
Yeah.
They end up arguing about it. Fergie distracts Franklin, but gets caught on a trap that Paulie laid. And Paulie now reveals himself, teasing him and declaring, "Look, told you, there's no such thing as a Chewnicorn." And Fergie and Franklin both accept that there may not actually be any Chewnicorns. However, they now end up turning their attention to a different fabled pinata. And as they walk away, we get a shot from up in the tree. as we see a Chewnicorn actually sitting in a tree, eating the gems, and turns to the camera and says, oh, there's no such thing as the pinata that they're discussing.
Yep.
Funny little end.
Funny, yeah.
I like it, it's clever. But there's not much to this one.
No.
There's really not much to even discuss. It's not a bad episode. It's still keeping my attention. It's short and it's interesting. It's got some amusing moments.
Yep.
And I'm beginning to now at this point as well, segment 4, episode 2, getting to know the characters a bit more. So starting to go, yeah, that's Paulie's attitude. And this is, Paulie's quite dismissive. Probably the more adult character of all of them.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah, definitely.
And I'm down to watching this. I'm down to see how it goes.
Yeah, me too, yeah.
Yeah. Episode 2 of Viva Pinata, the TV show. You got any thoughts on it? You know what to do. Let us know in the comments.
Thank you very much for watching. If you liked what you saw, please help us out by giving us a thumbs up and hitting that subscribe button. If you really liked what you saw, consider donating to keep the website and channel running by buying us a coffee via our coffee page or picking up some merch from our Big Cartel store. You can check us out on gbhbl.com as well as via our social media, Facebook, Instagram and Twitter, as well as listen to our interviews via SoundCloud, Apple Music and Spotify. Just search for GBHBL. Games, horror and heavy metal. What else is life for?